Good evening, everybody. Super excited to invite everybody to the Heat Team call. We are in the middle of, at the end of January, I think. I don't even know. The year's already gone by. It's already the next year, I feel like. And we're really excited for the call tonight because on our journey along the way, what Chris and I have really found is that this business is a business of incredible friendship, heartfelt connection, and really helping one another to create the lifestyles that we want. I think the story that you're going to hear from tonight from Lacey, and she's a pianist, a classically trained pianist, teaches music and vocal, and she's been within the Juice Plus family for about 3.5 years, but she didn't take this very seriously at the beginning, and she's going to talk about that in her story. I think the thing that's so amazing is, you know, Juice Plus can affect all kinds of things. It's not just digestion. It's about so much more. It's lifestyle and who we become along the way. And Lacey's story really speaks that so well. So Lacey, I'm turning this over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nikki. I'm so honored and blessed to be a part of this call. I have fallen in love with the entire Heat team. So thank you for having me. So like Nikki said, I'm a classically trained pianist and music teacher by trade, but my Juice Plus journey started about 9 years ago, actually, when a piano student's mom approached me, and I ordered just to be nice, and for years, I barely ever took the product, to the point where when I moved, I found something like 12 unopened boxes of Juice Plus that I had been stashing away in closets and cabinets. Right? I said to myself, I have got to cancel this order. And then the universe stepped in. So shortly thereafter, I suffered a traumatic knee injury that left me immobile for about 8 weeks. I sat on the couch, gained a lot of weight, got really depressed. And at the same exact time, I took a 30% cut in pay from one of my preschool music programs that I had developed. So when I was up and moving again, no matter what I did, I couldn't get my health stabilized. I couldn't lose the weight. I was feeling really poorly, and I was facing financial crisis. So of course, I run into the same piano mom who was then a former piano mom at a store, and I'm telling her all of my health and financial woes. And she asked me if I'd been taking my Juice Plus. And of course, I had to admit that no, I'd been never taking my Juice Plus. So she told me about a program. We called it Transform 30 then. We call it Shred 10 now. But she said that people were getting healthier and seeing weight loss as a side effect. And I mentioned that I could recover that 30% pay cut if I would just give the business a try. So I did. I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but I said yes. And at that point, what my sponsor, Robin Kelly, didn't know was that I was facing one of the deepest, darkest depressions I'd ever been in. Neither of us could have known then that the Juice Plus community might very well have saved my life. And it all started with what I call my Chris Cotton moment, because the Cottons have played an amazingly monumental, instrumental role in my Juice Plus journey, and they just found this out maybe a few months ago. So a little bit of background. If I was to say to you that I was raised in an extremely strict, emotionally and mentally abusive, and fanatically religious household, I want you to multiply that by 1,000. In this particular religion, you are not allowed to have friends outside of the religion. So I had acquaintances at school, but I was not allowed to see them outside of school hours. So I was never allowed to form those deep friendships or those lifelong friends that many people have. So my life absolutely revolved around this religion and the community within it until the age of 23, when I decided to forge my own path in life. And that was shunned enough inside this religion that there was an announcement made in front of me and every friend and family member that I had ever had that they were no longer allowed to speak to or associate with me. So imagine at the age of 23, losing your family, your circle of friends, and your entire community, a lifetime's worth of loved ones up until that point. It was as close as I can imagine dying feeling like, that kind of loss. And it set me on a spiral for the next 8 years of extreme depression, extremely low self-esteem and self-confidence. I cycled through years of antidepressants, therapy, psychologists, doctors, but not much helped because nothing brought my family and my friends back. So like I mentioned, when I was introduced to this business, I was one of the deepest depressions of my life, and I wasn't even sure that I wanted to live. Then at my very first Juice Plus event, the Keystone Boot Camp 3.5 years ago, I heard Chris Cotton get up on stage and give a talk about the importance of building belief in yourself. And I wept the entire time he was talking. He mentioned that this business was actually a personal development program in disguise. And I could not know then how true his words were, but I went up to him afterwards and I'm still ugly crying, you guys, like ugly crying all over Chris Cotton's shoulder. I still don't know how he doesn't remember this, but I was a disaster. And I said to him, how? You have to tell me how to build this belief in myself. I don't even know where to begin. And I realized then that the reason I was weeping so dramatically was because, yes, I had no self-confidence and no belief in myself, but that I had finally found a community of people where I felt like I could build that. I could build that confidence and that belief, and who wanted to help and wanted me to be the best version of myself, and who was going to have my back the whole time. So he said to me, start with affirmations. And I honestly didn't know what that was. I'd never heard of the word affirmations. I mean, I'd heard the word affirmations before, but I didn't know what it meant in terms of what he was referencing. So I found a coach that taught me how to write affirmations correctly. He helped me raise my self-worth and self-confidence so much that that old me is almost recognizable. So there are really not words to express how grateful I am for this Juice Plus community. I have forged deep, deep friendships with people who have become like mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters. And now I even have an adopted team. I can't tell you, I've been dreaming for 3 years that I would be adopted member into the HEAT team, and now I feel like I am. So I feel like I have a family again, and it feels like home. And part of the beauty of this culture and community is that it's given me permission I didn't have when I was growing up to figure out who I am, what I believe, what my values are, and to hone my vision and my why. So at that same Keystone Boot Camp, we were asked to write down our why. I turned to my sponsor next to me and I said, what's a why? I had never heard of that before. And she said, that just means to write down your vision and your dreams. And it was then that I realized I'd stopped dreaming years ago. I didn't know what any of my dreams were then. So mainly I wrote down very tangible external things like home ownership and a new car. I also wanted to save the elephants, which is honorable. But as I spent more time in this business and around this community, belief and confidence in myself grew, and my why and my vision has changed and grown deeper as well. So what I learned is that vision is not always about the stuff you have or you want to have, or the things you want to do, or the places you want to go. Those are all really great goals, but it's more about becoming the person you want to be. So I still have goals of home ownership and a new car, but my why, my vision is now about what is my character? Who do I want to be? What does the greatest version of myself look like? So I am proving to my childhood self, that little girl who never got to be herself and had no confidence or self-worth, that I am worthy. I am a leader. I will do great things. I will impact thousands of people's lives, and that I can, I will, and I'm going to be the greatest version of myself. That is now my why. So I would love to be able to take you guys through a step-by-step process to be able to hone your why and your vision. So I know many of you don't really know me, but I'm asking you to trust me. We all need to get a little bit raw and a little bit authentic and a little bit vulnerable. I feel like I'm able to do that in front of you, so I'm asking you to try and give me that back. Just open yourselves up. For any of you guys who have done the Brave Leaders program, you know that there's power in being vulnerable. So this call right now is a very safe container. So please be open to being raw and vulnerable for this process. So I'm going to share my screen real fast. Oh, Nikki, I don't know. It says that host has disabled the screen share. Is there any chance?
Yes, but this has happened one other time.
I apologize. I should have told you.
No, I knew it's supposed to be. Wait a second. Who can share? I got it. It'll be. Hang on. Let me save this. That should work. Okay, now try it.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so let me play this. Can you guys see that?
Yep, it's perfect.
Okay, perfect. So finding what our why, how do we get our vision? How do we find our why? And it has to start, for a lot of us, it has to start surface level. So this is what I love to start with. It's called 20 Whats to Find Your Why. And so I will send this to Nikki after the call so that you guys can print this out if you would like. But I ask my team to go through this when they first are trying to find their why, and I'm trying to first work with them to find a bigger why than maybe they thought they had. And these are 20 whats to be able to figure out what that why is. Also, the mission-driven model has a really great PDF that I can send this to you guys too, but it is on mission-driven model, the very last subheading under business building, and then click on why, you'll find this, and it talks about your why, your dreams, and then how to take action. So I try and ask all of my people to go through that file as well. But one of the other acronyms I really like to use that I learned recently is called VAST, because we want to develop a vast why, a vast vision, right? And what that stands for is for visual, auditory, smell, and touch. So visualize, write out your vision as if you're an author describing a scene with all of the in-depth details. And then auditory, what can you hear? What sounds surround you? So let's say that you're building a vision for this business being able to provide you with a brand new car. Well, how does that car sound? What does the stereo sound like? Smell. What smells surround you? Olfactory is a very, very powerful sense. We can recall smells from very early childhood. So maybe you're dreaming of that brand new renovated kitchen. Well, are you pulling a pie out of your new double oven? What does it smell like? And then touch. What can you touch around you? Bring it to life. So all of those are really good places to start. And then ask yourself these questions. What truly excites you? What is your 1 year, 5 year, and 10-year vision for your future? So for me, I was very good about building vision from conference to conference and knowing what promotions I was working for and what goals I was working for from conference to conference. And maybe I would have a 1 year plan. But it wasn't until recently that I started actually writing down very in-depth 2 year plans, 5 year plans, 10-year plans. And that has been so changing for me because now I see a very clear path of where I'm going. So even though it's 5 years, 10 years down the road, being able to be excited about that and be excited about where I see myself going and having that very clear path has been awesome. And then have you ever thought about something to only have it actually happen? How did that feel? How did that make you feel when you're able to actually have that happen? And then what do you think about most? Thoughts become things. Are you focusing on the no you got today? Or are you focusing on your next promotion, how badly you want an MD, whatever it is? What is it that occupies your mind the most? Oh, okay. And then step 2 is dig deeper. So I want to talk about goals versus purpose. So like me, when I didn't know what my why was, many other people write down very tangible external things like a house or a new car or a vacation that they haven't been able to take, and those are their whys, and that's great, but those are actually goals. You must combine those goals with your purpose, who you want to be, who you are, your values, your mission, what you want to be known for. Combine that with your goals, and that becomes your vision and your why. So for most of us, it's really easy to write down our goals. We know what we want our future to look like in that aspect, but our purpose, our values, that can, on the other hand, be more difficult. So a really great exercise, although it's a little bit morbid, is to write out your eulogy, because nobody wants anybody to stand up at their memorial service and talk about all of the great couches you had, or how exquisite your shoe collection was, or how many toys you had and cars, right? That's what you want them to stand up and say. You want them to talk about who you were and what you stood for and the difference you made for them and for other people. So that is my challenge to you, is write out your eulogy this week, and that really will take you that second step closer to finding your true why. Okay, step 3. be ready to get vulnerable. And that is having a large part to do with what is your creed. And a creed is when you're operating from a point of principles and values. So these are the things I believe in. These are the things that I value. Now, when your why becomes about your creed, your principles, your values, your mission, who you are, who you want to become, what you want to be known for, that is when you have found your intrinsic why. And motivation, action, willpower, self-discipline, all of those come from a very intrinsic place. And that is when your why will make you cry and will keep you motivated, disciplined, and strong-willed enough to stay in action in your business no matter what gets thrown at you. So vision in your why must have a long-term perspective. So people create goals like house payments or car payments initially because they have to. So how many of you guys know who Kimberly Warlow is? You've heard of Kimberly Warlow, 100 Club, NMD? Yeah, wonderful, wonderful lady. But she started this business or got serious about this business to be able to save her house, to be able to make her mortgage payment. And that's okay. When I started this business, it was because I needed to create 30% income because I'd taken that pay cut, right? So our whys evolve over time, and that's fine. But it really is important to move beyond that quickly, those goals quickly, because it's not the same as having a long-term perspective with a vision or your true why. So your vision and your why should be bigger than those goals, because vision is more than a car. It's more than a home. It's more than a paycheck. Your why and your vision is about the way you make a difference in your life, in your friends and your family's life, in your team members' lives, in those people's lives that you haven't even met yet. So it's what gives you the will and the intrinsic integrity to keep going, even if you don't feel like it. So long-term perspective long-term perspective about your vision allows you to work harder and try harder today. Without a true why, goals die, dreams die, your work ethic dies. But vision gives you a long-term perspective of why you're working on what you're working on today. So if you don't have a long-term perspective that's based upon your vision of why you do what you do today, then tomorrow, if you don't feel like doing it, you're not going to. And then when that lack of courage sets in about picking up the phone and calling somebody on your chicken list, you won't do it because it's just about today. You're making it just about today. So a true why, a true vision is so important because it gives you that long-term will or perspective to do today what you know is going to give you tomorrow. So a true vision and a true why, because it's coming from an intrinsic place rather than an external place, that is what is going to set you on fire for long-term decisive action. So let me get off of the screen share really fast. Okay, so I would love we have a few minutes, I would love for somebody to volunteer to go through this process with me that I take my team through. So be brave. I can either call on you or you're welcome to volunteer, but I would love to have a volunteer who's willing to go through a why exercise with me.
So Lacey, all one of you have to do is unmute yourself and yell me until we hear you.
Okay.
Me. You got to say your name. Sorry, that was
Heidi. Kimberly.
Brown.
Heidi Biggs. We'll start with Heidi. We may have more. We may have time to do 2 of these. Okay. So Heidi, what I would love to do is take you through an exercise that is going to ask you a lot of questions to see if we can dig even deeper into what your why is. Does that sound okay?
Sounds great.
All right. So first, I would love to know what it is. What is your why? Do you know you have a why right now?
Yeah, I do.
Would you be willing to share that?
Sure. My why is to have enough time freedom to bring my husband home and have more time together to travel and just be with each other as a family.
And why do you want that?
Because we don't have much time together right now.
And how would it make you feel if you had more time together?
I can't put that feeling into words because it would just fuel my heart so much.
And how would it make you feel if you, because of this business, you were able to bring your husband home and travel more? What does that look like for you?
Oh my gosh, it looks amazing.
So what are your other dreams? What are the other dreams that you've held for yourself that maybe you haven't even thought about?
To actually reduce the days that I work also.
And why do you want to reduce the days that you work?
So that I have more time freedom and so that I can spend my time helping others more.
And what do you want to do helping others?
I want to help my family in the UK first and foremost.
And what do they need help with?
My parents need help with remodeling or giving them a new home.
And how would that make them feel if they got a new home?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. I have no clue. It's not something I've asked them, but I can only imagine that it would just shock them to the core and make them elated.
So how would that make you feel if you got to give them a new home?
Wholehearted and super, super happy.
Yeah. Fulfilled?
Yeah, totally fulfilled.
Okay, what are some of your other dreams?
I want to travel to Australia and visit my family there that I haven't seen in like 20 years.
Oh, wow. And the family that you haven't seen in 20 years, what do you think they're going to think when you're able to do that after 20 years?
Oh, they'd be so excited. Yeah.
And how would that make you feel if you got to do that after 20 years? Nobody's been able to see each other.
Again, I'd just be so fulfilled and so excited. I feel like I'm like jumping out of my seat right now just thinking about it.
So what I'm hearing from you, Heidi, and we can go even deeper, but I kind of want to give someone else another chance. But what I'm hearing is that you started off with your why being time freedom and to bring your husband home and to travel. But the more intrinsic motivator here is that you want to do something that fulfills you. You want to have that sense of fulfillment and be able to give back to your family in the UK and your family in Australia and have that sense of fulfillment. Is that fair to say that that's more of your intrinsic motivator?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. I haven't checked the chat. Thank you for being my brave first volunteer.
Of course.
So we've got Kimberly Franzen jumped up next. I said, if you want to turn, type your name, and Kimberly did. So
Awesome.
Kimberly, you can also scroll on the thumbnails. So Kimberly, I know what you look like. I'm looking for, oh, there you are. Okay. So Kimberly.
Yes, hi.
Can you see her, Lacey? She's got short hair, the same color as mine. She's in a white chair and a blue and white, some sort of print top. She's waving her hands. Keep waving until she finds you. Keep waving. Kimberly Franzen. All right, cool.
Okay, perfect.
Hi.
Thank you, Kimberly.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so I'm going to take you through the same process. I would love to know if you have a why right now, as it stands right now.
My why has changed. When I first started in the business, I had just recently lost my brother at age 28. He had overdosed on drugs, 80% blockage in his heart, and he had been married. And he had a baby girl who was 4.5 and 60 pounds. And just finding out and then seeing her, my passion was to help as many family and kids not have to eat junk out of the cupboard or deal with and grow up with, potential weight issues and health issues. And so we have done that. And I've helped other families, and I would say now it's moved on to my mom. My mom had to move in with us since she got custody of my niece, Katie Bug. And now She's been with us for 8 years, and she's had many surgeries, and it has basically disrupted the life of my husband and I. And so my goal now is to financially be able to have my mom in a separate place. She would be happier, we would be happier. So that's kind of what I'm shooting for now.
Okay. So what kind of surgeries has your mom had?
She had a hip replacement. She's had 3 hernia surgeries, and she needs her knees replaced.
Okay. So if you were able to get her into a different spot, that probably also means that she would get the care she needs.
Yes, she's on disability, so most everything is covered for her.
Okay. So I want you to, so that vast piece we were talking about earlier, to visualize the auditory, the smell, and the touch, I want you to imagine that you just got a paycheck that would allow you to move your mom into a spot where you got to be home with your husband and she got to be in her own space. How does that feel?
Incredible.
Why does it feel incredible?
There's a lot of jealousy on my mom's part, and she doesn't believe that Juice Plus is a real job. She never believed that I had a real job. And there's a lot of back stuff that goes along with that. And so it's a lot of negativity in the house that needs to go.
So if she was in her own space and that was created because of your Juice Plus paycheck, how does that feel in terms of your own sense of belief in yourself?
That would be huge. I would definitely feel worthy and empowered.
Those are huge words. Yeah, so do you see how whys evolve over time, everyone? So it started off, she wanted to help other children not have to end up like her niece. And now it's trying to get herself and her husband in a space that would be private from her mom. But after asking enough questions, what it really comes down to, her why is to be empowered and to have that belief in herself and to be able to prove to her mom that she can believe in her as well. That's pretty huge, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a pretty amazing intrinsic why, I would have to say. Okay, so we're out of time. I promised I would not go over more than 5 minutes, so I wanted to end with one little thing. Okay, can you guys see this? This is the part of the why exercise that I'm asking other questions too, but this is how I get started. And this document is also on the mission-driven model under the last column where it says business, same spot where it says why. So print this out. But this is the poem I want to leave you all with because it talks about the importance of honing your creed and your true why, and of who you're becoming and what your values and your principles are, what you stand for, and the difference you want to make, because at the end of the day, we have to be true to ourselves. It's about being true to our values and our principles. So in the very first line, you're going to see the word health, and that actually just means money or wealth. Okay, when you get what you want in your struggle for health, and the world makes you king for a day, then go to the mirror and look at yourself and see what that guy has to say. For it isn't your father or mother or wife whose judgment upon you must pass. The feller whose verdict counts most in your life is the guy staring back from the glass. He's the feller to please, never mind all the rest, for he's with you clear to the end. And you've passed your most dangerous, difficult test if the guy in the glass is your friend. You may be like Jack Horner and chisel a plum and think you're a wonderful guy, but the man in the glass says you're only a bum if you can't look him straight in the eye. You can fool the whole world down the pathway of years and get pats on the back as you pass, but your final reward will be heartaches and tears if you've cheated the guy in the glass. And the name of that author is Dale Wimbrough, written 1934. Okay, so please reach out to me if you guys have any questions, and I will be happy to put any of the information from those slides. I can send it to the Cottons, and maybe they can send it out to the rest of the team. But thank you guys so much for being here and sharing your evening with me and being able to do this exercise together. I really appreciate your vulnerability and your bravery and just being open and honest to find your true why.
Hey, Lacey, you did not disappoint. It was a fabulous call. I know you really made an impression on a lot of people, and the story is so incredibly impactful, but you taking it a step further to show how important it is to really, we all have those whys, but to really dig deep so it carries you through. I think everybody really appreciated it. So we are out of time, but I would like everybody to unmute them. Oh, I can do it.
Way to go, Lacey. Thank you. You really brought the heart.
Thank you, Lacey.
Thanks,
Lacey.
Lacey.
Great job.
Love you, Lacey.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lacey.
Thank you, Lacey.
Phenomenal.
Bye, everybody.
Lacey.
There you go.
Voices are the best.